Hello everybody, this is David. Welcome back to my channel. Well, we are carrying on in our series Hamartiology, the study of sin, and we've been looking at the sinlessness of Jesus Christ. And there's a couple of other aspects that I want to continue with in this video. Firstly, that Jesus Christ was conscious in his own consciousness that he was not conscious of sin. He, as we read in John chapter 8, verse 46, and John chapter 14, verse 30, and he is also conscious of what's called perfect rectitude. Now, rectitude is an awareness of moral uprightness or righteousness, or the quality or condition of being correct in judgment, or the quality of being straight. So he was conscious of perfect rectitude, as we read in John chapter 8, verse 29, and 15, verse 10, and 17, verse 4. Now, this is the highest and strongest kind of evidence, for with such a knowledge of man and of sin as he had, it is impossible either that he could be self-deceived or that he could say what was not true. So the New Testament writers use his moral perfection as the ground of various doctrinal and practical arguments, as we read in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 21, Hebrews 4 verse 15, and Hebrews 7 verse 26, and 1 John 3 chapter 5. Now, the whole witness of Christianity and of the Christian church proves, or goes some way to prove, the sinlessness of Christ. How was such a life recorded if it was not lived? Where did such a conception or idea of a perfect Christ come from? Who could imagine or invent it? Where did the idea of certain virtues and of such a character as our religion demands come from? They were unknown till Jesus brought them. The world before Christ did not know such virtues as humility, forgiveness, and love. It considered them not virtues at all, only weaknesses. Who set up this standard? Jesus Christ himself did. He is the source of Christian morality. Will the source shame the stream? Never. The stream may be less pure than the fountain, but never the reverse. So what are the purposes which he uses his moral perfection for? Firstly, to convince us of the truth of his religion, if I can put it like that. In other words, to prove his fitness for his prophetic office. That is, to make his fitness to make known to us the entire will of God for our salvation. He who was to bring into the world God's message, God's complete message to man, needed to be the perfect messenger. He only could be a perfect interpreter of the divine mind, who perfectly did the divine will. This is his own argument in John chapter 8 verses 46 to 47. Which of you convinces me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? Here is one who is free from sin and free from error. His words in morals and in religion are of supreme authority. His message from God is to be entirely and cordially accepted. It is impossible to make too much of this central fact in the gospel history, a sinless Christ. The perfect character of Jesus, as it shines in the mirror of this history is fitted to gladden the sin-conscious soul of man, to arouse in man its deep instinct for holiness and desire for God, to carry with conviction into the heart and mind the whole consequences of the Christian belief. Now, secondly, the purpose of his sinlessness is to sustain or prove his claim to be our high priest, that is, our Redeemer and Reconciler. The largest view, or the biggest view of our Saviour's work is that of mediator. It is to bring God and man together. That sin is the cause of the difference between fallen man and a holy God. So the man between must himself be without sin. So only he would be the sinless ransom, the sympathizing and interceding high priest, as we read in John chapter 1 verse 29 and 36, Hebrews chapter 9 verse 14 and Hebrews 7 verse 27, 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 19 and 1 John chapter 2 verse 1. So thirdly, the reason for his sinlessness is to lead us from the humanity of Jesus to his Godhead. His Godhead depends upon its own proper evidence, which we'll look at in the next video, but this video is preparing the way for us to look at that. So one so perfectly and exceptionally human must be more than human. The steps of this argument are such as these. Firstly, that a human being without sin has appeared in a race invariably and hereditarily sinful. Such a one, therefore, though truly human, cannot be ordinarily human. How did he come into this world sinless? The answer, by the miraculous birth and immaculate conception, the virgin birth, in other words. This leads to the doctrine of the incarnation, God becoming man. It was the divine Son who was thus born of woman, yet sinless, as we read in John chapter 1 verse 14. So we come to the whole truth of his superhuman, or more strictly speaking, his divine personality, his Godhead, the fact that he is God. And we'll look at that in our next video. So I want to thank you for joining me in this video. See you on the next one. Bye bye.